Okay, so today I'm cooking this tilapia, which I didn't realize tilapia was reddish pink, but I've got a variety of spices and I'm just gonna put them in a bowl and mix them together. I don't really know if these go together, but I feel like if I add enough, it'll taste good. What I'm hoping to do is to grill this in the oven and make something somewhat similar to the fish that I get at one of my favorite restaurants in Columbus, which is a Senegalese place. So in addition to grilling or baking the tilapia in the oven, I'm thinking of making some sort of a soup with some of the cabbage and other vegetables that I have on me. So yeah, let the cooking commence. So I've also got some chives with flowers, and these are picked from my mom's garden actually. So I'm gonna take some of that, cut it up, and add it into the soup as well. Okay, let's give this fish a try. It is like nice and tender. Oh man, there's like parts of the fish that are like nice and fatty, but let's see how this is. Oh man, that's good. The seasoning is like really, really good. So obviously it's a whole fish, so there's a lot of bones to navigate through, but in a lot of cultures that isn't really anything too weird. I remember going to Bangladesh and we were eating a fish and one of the locals was telling us to be careful because of the bones, but then he turned to me and he was like, you're probably used to that already. But it's true, there's so many, I feel like people are so used to eating fish that has been like neatly filleted, but if it tastes good, who cares? And this is like really tender, like really perfectly cooked. Wow. I'll grab one of these fattier, kind of crispier parts. Yeah, that's good. Okay, now I'm gonna try the soup. So let's see if the broth actually turned out any good. The broth is really flavorful, so that's definitely a good sign. The broth has sort of like a fishy sweetness to it. The fish in the soup is pretty good. You can definitely taste like the ginger, the notes of ginger in the broth as well. I took the fish out partway through cooking because I put it in so early that it was just like really falling off the bone. It turned out well. Yeah, there's definitely like a gingeriness to that broth. It's really good though. Okay, so today we have a package from Nani Sherland. This is all the way from Honolulu, Hawaii, which is amazing. And I have no idea what it is, so let's check it out. It feels like rectangular, so it almost feels like a deck of cards or something. Oh. Okay, so I was actually right about the cards. Fungi Perfecti, some mushroom playing cards. You know, I'm curious if it's like the wild edible card deck that we had, because if that's the case, then I can cheat at blackjack or whatever game people play. So this says a Fungi Perfecti original. So all the gourmet ones are clubs, the medicinal ones are hearts, poisonous are spades, and psychoactive are diamonds. This features photographs by Paul Stamets and some other mycologists. That's cool though. If I play a game where the suits matter, I can definitely cheat. Let's open this up. Ah, the Joker's Amanita muscaria. That is a very appropriate mushroom for that. Amanita verosa, the Destroying Angel, Sulfur Tuft, yep. All right, let's see what some of the hearts are. Whittier fungus, this is also, I mean, it says this is medicinal. I would consider that an edible one, but I guess it's not like gourmet. Wait a minute. It puts oyster mushrooms under hearts too. So, wait, this is also an edible mushroom. Nokitake, beach oysters, this is edible. I think they got the box wrong or something because, well, they have caterpillar fungus. This is cordyceps, it's a fungus that infects the caterpillar, and actually a lot of times you'll see at traditional Chinese medicine stores, they have like bins full of these like caterpillar-shaped fungi, and that's what that is. Schizophyllum commune, very common mushroom. Oh, they've got chaga here too. Let's see what they have under gourmet. They've got shaggy mane, chanterelles, bear's head, one of the Hericium fungi. Another chanterelle, black morel. I just realized that I can't cheat because it doesn't show the pictures on the back like the other deck of cards do. So I'm out of luck there, but I mean, that's probably for the best. That is awesome though, thank you. I'm definitely gonna take this on our next camping trip. Man, that is so cool. All right, so there's some other goodies in this. Yeti stickers, nice coloration there. Ooh, got a nice mushroom sticker. This was the pattern on the back of these cards. It kind of looks like it's also like a Polynesian, traditional Polynesian kind of design too, which is really cool. And we've got a nice note. Aloha, Andrew. Thank you for all the knowledge you share with all of us on your adventures. Maybe those will come in handy on one of them for you. Stay safe and keep doing what you love. Take care and aloha, Nani. Thank you so much, Nani. I hope I'm saying your name right, but seriously, this was awesome. I'm definitely looking forward to using these. Alright, so I know for you it seems like I was literally just out here, but I've been inside for hours kind of staring at a computer, editing, so I think I'm gonna do some sprinting. Sometimes I do sprints on my days off from working out, just because it seems a lot less daunting in my head than like running for a sustained amount of time. And from what I understand, it's good to mix like the high interval training stuff with long distance running, but mostly I just need like a nice boost of endorphins. I don't know if I have proper sprinting form when I'm sprinting, but in my head it feels like I'm like the T-1000. But on camera, it doesn't look quite that cool, so I don't know what that's about, but either way, my heart rate is up, feeling pretty good, and I think now I'm gonna go to the Asian store, pick up a few ingredients for a really simple but really, really good meal. There's some evening primrose growing on the exit of the highway. Edible flower. It's so cool, they have mushrooms you can find in the wild. So they've got like lion's mane, Phallus indusiatus, which is like a stinkhorn mushroom. They've got wood ear mushroom. Man, there are so many goodies I could have gotten from that store. They have all these like amazing candies and pastries and ice cream and a lot of like pre-cooked stuff, but I've been eating way too many sweets recently, and I still have a lot of sweets at home, so I just got some vegetables for this dinner tonight. But now, it's time to go home. So tonight I'm making hot pot. It's a super simple, super easy thing to make. Basically you just take like various vegetables and things and boil them in a big pot. If you really want to be fancy, you can have a gas stove in the middle of the table and have all the raw ingredients laid out. But yeah, it's also really healthy because vegetables are really tasty when you eat it this way. But you can also add meat and fish balls and things like that. But today I've got like cabbage, some sort of leafy green, I'm not sure exactly what. I've got beach mushrooms, I've got an abalone mushroom, and some fish balls and squid balls. This, by the way, is in the genus Pleurotus, the same genus as oyster mushroom, and it's called abalone mushroom because it's kind of similar in taste if you cook it a certain way. My Kung Fu instructor's wife actually cooked some of these with like truffle oil, and those were super delicious. Cabbage is like such a classic hot pot ingredient. Napa cabbage I think is by far the best, but I already had a normal green cabbage, so. So I've also got this fried tofu. It's kind of got like a nice, it's not chewy, but it's got a lot more bite than normal tofu. It's like kind of spongy in texture. It's really good. And this is a nice tomato from my mom's garden. I might have some of it raw and then cook the rest of it with the hot pot. Really beautiful on the inside. Let me try one of these. Ooh, wow, that is good. Super crisp and clean and refreshing tasting. Good stuff. I've also got various fish balls. I've got octopus ball, pollock ball, and these, which are fish balls with roe inside. They kind of look like Hershey's Kisses or the little slimes from Dragon Quest. Fish balls are one of the tastiest things you can have in hot pot, but also not really the healthiest, so I try to limit my intake of that and try to increase the intake of vegetables. Also, if you've never had anything like fish balls or fish cakes, I feel like the closest thing to that in like a classic American culture would be a hot dog. I actually think they taste better than hot dogs, but it is similar in the sense that it's kind of like this processed, cakey, delicious, kind of like salty sweet thing. And this is daikon radish. Actually, it's technically a Korean radish, but more or less the same thing. That, I think, is a very beautiful display of hot pot. But the most important thing about hot pot is not what's in there, but what goes in your own bowl, which is the sauce. It's really easy to just get any vegetables. You don't even need an Asian grocery store to cook that stuff in a boiling pot of water, but the sauce is a little more critical. So for the sauce, there's a lot of different things that different people use, but what my family has always used is a nice scoop of peanut butter first, and after that, this stuff is called like Chinese barbecue sauce. I've also heard it compared to satay sauce. You want to put a decent scoop of that in there. The sauce, by the way, is by far the unhealthiest part of this meal, and to that, we add some soy sauce. And in the past, we used to crack a raw egg in here to mix it up. But now we just add hot water. But yeah, you give this a nice mix. Admittedly, this is much better food to eat in the wintertime than in the summertime, because as Brian likes to say, it'll warm you up. Oh man, it's so good though. There's that fish ball with the roe inside. I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of this off camera so that you don't see me eating like a barbarian. Alright, so it's a beautiful Sunday out. I'm actually gonna meet up with some friends to go shooting today. We're going to an outdoor range so that, you know, we have the open air, and I'm probably gonna wear my mask the whole time. I think we're gonna be shooting a .22 for sure. I know guns are kind of like a controversial subject. People feel different ways about them all across the political spectrum. I just like shooting them because they're fun to shoot, so don't read too much into it. Actually, there are a few things I want to say before I show this footage of me shooting guns at a range. If you do interact with guns, please always take safety super seriously. You know, look up a professional who knows about gun safety, but a few basics are always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot at the target that you're intending to shoot. Always treat the gun as if it's loaded. Never be careless about where you're pointing it. You know, never point it at someone else, obviously. After you're done shooting, make sure there's no bullet in the chamber, make sure the magazine is empty, make sure the safety's on. Keep the gun pointed downrange even when you place it on the table. There's a lot to consider, but gun safety is never a joke. And I think anybody, no matter what they think of guns or how they relate to guns, I think everyone can pretty much agree with that. I had to cut like 90% of your dialogue last time.
Yeah?
Because you're just saying ridiculous stuff.
It's all truth, dude. I speak the truth. Gotta keep it family friendly.
That's awesome.
Isn't it?
That is so cool.
Okay, this is a Takarev. It shoots 7.62 by 25. 7.62 by 39 is what the AK shoots. They did 7.62 because it's just easier. If you chamber all your firearms at the same caliber. That was it, yeah.
I love it.
These ones mine.
What?
These mine.
Yeah. No, actually, those are mine. Nonsense. So something else I want to mention, especially because there might be kids watching, is at the range I took footage that I thought looked beautiful and made guns look cool. Because, you know, we grew up watching action movies and it's fun for me as someone who films things to capture the shooting range in a way that I think is cool. At the same time though, I don't want to make light of what a gun can do. I don't want people to get the wrong idea that like guns are just toys or something cool to play with. I especially don't want people to fantasize about violence. Don't get me wrong, like I have an interest in guns as a hobby. I have an interest in martial arts. There's always gonna be an element where we think about these things. And sometimes we even like fantasize about, you know, being able to like stand up to our bullies or whatever else. There's the fantasy and then there's reality. And actually doing harm to someone is not a fun experience. In the style of Kung Fu that I take, there's a saying, fight with no mercy, but with mercy, don't fight. And the idea behind that is, you know, don't get into a fight unless you absolutely need to. The best form of self-defense is to talk things down, to de-escalate, you know, to prevent a fight from ever happening. Josh, who was at the range with us, just said something beautiful, which was the best form of security is to make sure your neighbors are well fed. I think there's a lot of wisdom in that. I think a lot of people who get into things like martial arts or guns often have this idea of like being able to be the good guy with the gun, right? It's a totally understandable feeling to have, but I think a lot of times what we think of as good and bad are not always what matches with reality. A lot of times we're fed certain ideas about what people who are bad look like and act like, and what people who are good look like and act like. I think we need to understand that reality is a lot more complicated than that. It's not just this clear thing where someone who acts or looks a certain way is definitely bad, right? But even then, when we think about someone who's doing something bad as we understand it, there's even usually something more complex in that. Somebody who breaks into a house and steals something. The person who's doing that had to arrive at a point where they felt some sort of necessity to break into a house and steal something. Stuff like that often comes about from external situations or desperate situation or something like that. And this goes back to the saying earlier about how the best form of security is to make sure your neighbor is well fed. When someone has all their needs met, food and shelter, people with those needs met generally don't go out and commit crime. When someone's in survival mode, that's when it can seem like people are making bad choices. It might be less that they're making a bad choice and more that all the choices they have aren't really that good. And so, yeah, like I think shooting guns at a range is fun, but we have to be careful when we fantasize about, oh, I want to be the good guy with the gun, or oh, I want to be the good guy who can beat people up. Everybody thinks they're the good guy. And unless we've done a lot of introspection and unless we've gotten to know other people and really learned to empathize with other people's situations, there's a chance that our actions might not actually be truly good. And when we're talking about something that can take a life, that is something we need to really think about. I'm saying this not to rant. I just think because Adventure Archives has traditionally been a family-friendly channel, you know, kids watch it, and now I'm showing guns portrayed in a way that's kind of cool. At least I think it's cool. I just want to like give it the adequate amount of weight that it deserves. If our first instinct or reaction to people who are, in our eyes, bad is to use violence on them, I think that's something we need to think about. I think about Hurricane Katrina. There's an incident called the Danziger Bridge shootings. Basically, people who were roaming around trying to get out were shot at for no reason. It's a pretty clear and cut case from my understanding. And the people who were shooting, they might have thought that those people were up to no good. There was all sorts of talk of like looting and defending people's property. And I think what it comes down to is asking ourselves, in a case like Katrina, do we want to be the people on the bridge shooting? Or do we want to be the people who went down there and helped deliver food to people and organize resources for people and help people get back on their feet after their homes had been destroyed? I think that's gonna be it for this vlog. I'm sure I'll get some controversial comments down below, but it is what it is. But yeah, I will see you all next week and maybe hopefully have a podcast sometime between then. But have a good night, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your week.